Stoicism is a lost masculine philosophy that for too long has been lost in the midst of the woke social order. But now, men across the world are realizing that there is something valuable in this lost tradition that needs to be revived for masculine men to regain their glory. For a man, control over his emotions is the greatest asset he has, and losing control over his emotions his greatest weakness. That's not to say that men can't feel emotions, because that's an undeniable human imperative. But this is a more nuanced argument. Men must rise above their emotions and prioritize their masculine role and responsibility over the changing whims of their emotional state. Every man in the modern world knows that feeling a certain way is no excuse to abdicate responsibility or an excuse for failure. But the lure of the emotional force field is such that most men today fall into it and manifest self-destructive impulsive gratification behaviors in an attempt to make it go away. It's all downhill from there. You know exactly what I'm talking about, right? You break up with your high school sweetheart and get fired from the job you worked years at, or you face backlash from your unorthodox opinions and worldviews from your friends and family. An emotion takes over you. It controls you and directs your behavior, be it sadness, regret, anger, or fear. This is why all global and religious scriptures have taught men that their duties cannot be placed secondary to their emotional state. But what is our modern world teaching men? Cower down, comply, shed a tear at a movie scene, cry in front of your partner, and be a more emotionally available and flexible man all around. Do you spot something here? The current social order wants men to show emotion by crying and expressing sadness, but is completely oblivious to the emotion that is most natural to men: anger. Societies around the world have been trying desperately to set up a social order that accounts for and keeps in check the masculine anger in all men. Monogamy, marriage, warfare, religion, all of these are outlets to either restrain or channel male anger and proclivity to violence. Almost all of these are now breaking down. I've seen men in the modern world weak and effeminate have their emotions take control of them and destroy their lives. Sheer grief over the breakup can lead men to self-harm. Sheer anger can make them lash out and doing regrettable crimes. Sheer lack of control over their sexual emotions can lead them to become predators that spend decades behind bars. This is what the modern feminist narrative misses. It wants men to feel emotion, but only the emotions most convenient to them. When the reins and ropes restraining male emotions come off and see the floodgates to dangerous acts opened and society realizes its mistake. You might ask why that is. Why is it that a liberal world order is tearing down men's masculinity and trying to rebuild it in a way that's incompatible with their innate instincts and imperatives? I'll tell you why. A weak man is a controllable man. A man whose emotions drive him is a man that can be manipulated. Like a lab rat with nodes attached to its brain, a man's emotional buttons can be pressed at whim, and his behavior can be directed. The first part of this drive to remodel men is to deride traditional masculinity as toxic. The term has to be the most broad and overused term in modern social lexicon, whereas a man who is quote-unquote in touch with his emotions is championed as a strong man. Cry when you propose, shed a tear at that movie scene, make sure not to offend. This is the modern male conundrum. Stuck between his masculine instincts and a loud social message completely not consonant to him. So where does Stoicism tie into this? This ancient Greek philosophy understood male nature and formulated a set of ideas that men can finally identify with. A man who rises above his emotions is a man who cannot be controlled. A man who can shut down the voices at the back of his head is a man that cannot be manipulated. A man who does not let the demon of fear take over him is a man who's ready to lay his life in the defense of his ideas and principles. A man who refuses to make a woman the center of his happiness is a man free from the reins of that woman. And that is the scariest and strongest type of man for architects of the current world. Do you not see how all the greatest men in popular culture are stoics? Unfazed and unemotional. Imagine James Bond. Nothing can get to his mind, and no woman can entice or seduce him. He may feel emotions, but he does not become his emotions. And this is the key difference. No matter what the current feminism narrative tells you, even women do not find a man attractive who has no control over how he feels, or someone who forgoes his masculine responsibilities because of how he feels. Understand this, gentlemen, and understand it well. Women want to drag you to an emotional field because then you're in their world, where they have the power, because that is their greatest strength. So what does she do? Let's take a scenario. You catch your girlfriend texting some other guy. Perhaps she's cheating on you. Perhaps your relationship is jeopardy. You, as a man, are trying to seek the facts. She puts up a tantrum, cries and bawls her eyes out, all of it emotion, because the facts of the matter are in your favor. Emotion is all she has. If you are a man, give in to the display, that show, that facade. Then you have given up your position of power. Imagine your emotion as a cudgel, a rope around you, a rein that is in the women's hands. Now don't misconstrue me. I don't mean men can't feel emotion, or that they shouldn't be an outlet for it. All I'm saying is that there should be some greater cause that comes first. I'll give you another example. Imagine this. A fireman is the only one at the scene at the site of a burning house. Someone runs up to him and tells him inside the house is a child who couldn't get out. You look at the house, it's flaming, blazing and burning. You can feel the heat from 30 feet away. Fear strikes, your heart sinks, and your knees shake. What do? That demon of fear again, an emotion. But now there's something greater, a more noble cause that gives in to your fear, saving the child's life. You run into the blazing fire straight up and find the child. You carry him on your back and reunite him with his parents. Trust me, my friend, that feeling of accomplishment of rising above your fleeting emotion and doing what was necessary, that is where meaning for a man comes from. That is something you'll think about and smile 30 years from now. That is what men are always supposed to be. You can apply this tenet to any field of life and find that stoicism and pragmatism are some of the core principles every man should live by. But it is dealing with women, in your professional career or in times of crisis, which are bound to come. Responsibility over emotion is the holy grail of a man's source of meaning. This is the message I want to disseminate to this over-coddled and feminized male population today. I want you to believe and recognize that there is great utility in your masculine frame of the world, and that you don't need to adopt or give in to the feminine social conditioning that does not work in the harsh reality of life for men. I assure you, my friends, no affirmation of your emotion, no display of your vulnerability will give you as much meaning as doing the right thing no matter how you feel. That is the beauty of the view from the mountaintop. Even though the sight of the mountain from below may strike fear in you, I want all of you to be stronger in your pursuit for meaning and recognize that you need to curate your life in a way so that there is always something more important than your emotion, so you can arm yourself with purpose and rise above them. So like the video and subscribe to the channel because we're building stronger men with every next message we put up, and we want you on the journey with us. Until next time.